HowExpert Stories. Real stories by everyday people. HowExpert publishes how-to guides and real stories by everyday people. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more. It's never too late to chase your dreams. Jamie Small. High school graduation day. You've completed 12 years of schooling. You have taken countless tests, written more papers than you want to think about, and sat through hours of lectures. Today is the day when it all pays off. The day when that carefully wrote diploma gets placed in your hand, and you get to move on to the rest of your life. You sit there with your friends. Everyone looks their best. Your graduation robes are neatly pressed. Your caps all have their tassels hanging down, shimmering in your school colors. The band plays various songs to mark the occasion. Multiple camera flashes around you as parents take pictures and wipe away tears. Today is the day you will always remember as the day when you cease to be a child and are now an adult. The whole world is laid out in front of you. It is yours to command, yours to conquer. I remember my graduation day. I had my whole future planned out. I applied, was accepted, and was headed to the college of my choice. I had spent the past several years taking electives to support my chosen career field of medicine so that when I graduated, I would be one step ahead. I remember watching my best friend give the valedictorian speech she had spent weeks stressing over. I was well prepared to start my new life. No one told me that life sometimes doesn't go as planned. Summer after graduation flew by, and it felt like only a few short weeks had passed. Suddenly, I was packing up my life, shoving boxes into my car, and getting ready to head off to college. My sister made a poster and plastered it on the back window of my car. My mother gave me a hug and reminded me to call her at every stop and when I got there. My father hugged me, smiled proudly at me, and then whispered that there was $20 stashed in the glove box, just in case. I hopped into the car, started the engine, and took off. My first few weeks at college were a blur. It was nothing like I expected. The classes were harder. The books were bigger. The campus was confusing. And my roommate was a nightmare. I quickly figured out that this was not for me. I called my mom and begged her to come get me. She refused. She was concerned that I was giving up too easily. She also thought that if I left school now, that I would never go back. It took a couple of days of negotiating, but we finally reached a compromise. I dropped out of the college I was in and moved to another city. I enrolled into a junior college and started taking all sorts of different courses to try and find what area I was interested in pursuing. I had never explored anything else because I had always known what I was going to be from a very young age, a doctor. I ended up graduating from junior college with an associate degree in business and one in arts. That last one was quite a surprise to everyone who knew me. Art was so far away from what I had always been in my life. I never took an art course before junior college. Here I was, 2 years after leaving home for pre-med, and I was graduating with an art degree and headed into a 4-year college to complete my bachelor's degree. Once I transferred into my next college, life changed so much. I finally was happy. I was making friends. I excelled in my classes. These next 2 years were the best part of my college experience. I was surrounded by people who understood me, challenged me, and helped me to feel comfortable in my own skin. I never wanted to leave. I graduated at the top of my class with a bachelor's degree in art and a minor in art history. My parents had watched me grow and become confident. They supported my new career choice, even though they weren't quite sure what I would do with it to make money. To be honest, I didn't know either. After graduating with my bachelor's degree, I wasn't sure what to do. You don't hear about a lot of artists being rich and famous. The thing you hear most is the saying about starving artists. I fell into the latter group. I took odd jobs just to make ends meet. I worked in a bank during the day and a bar at night. One afternoon, I was on a break reading the paper and saw an ad for a photography job. I figured it was a long shot, but after work, I sent in my resume anyways. A few weeks later, I was driving to another city for an interview. My throat was as dry as cotton, and my hands were shaking the entire way. Even though I felt like I was a complete mess, I somehow aced the interview and landed the job. The next few years, I was a traveling photographer. My area included 7 states in the Midwest. I would travel to the town in which I was booked. While there, I would be met by the rest of the team, including sales. I would set up the studio, take photos of the people booked, and then send them out to the sales team. It was a fast-paced job, and I loved it. I got to see people and places, experience cultures and foods. It was perfect. One night, I was traveling into a city. It was after midnight. The sky was clear, and the moon was bright. It was dark and quiet. This was my favorite time to drive. I felt totally alone and at peace. I entered the city by a bridge. The lights of the city seemed to dance around me. As I wended my way down into the core, I just knew that this is where I was meant to be. I called my boss and told him I was moving. He agreed since I was still within my area. Once again, I packed up boxes and moved. Soon, I met a man who would become my husband. I quit my photography job because I didn't like being gone all the time. It was hard to start a life with someone when I was never there. I returned to banking and bartending while I figured out the next phase of my life. I don't remember what led me to the next step, but here I was, over 30, several degrees under my belt already, and enrolled in college once again. This time I was getting my master's degree in education. I finally figured out how to use my art degree, stay home, and make money. I was going to teach art. Getting my master's degree was hard. It was long nights working on papers while my husband was out with friends. I was still working full-time and taking courses at night. By the time I got to the student teaching part, I was several months pregnant. People said I was crazy and was doing too much, but I kept pushing. I made it through the spring semester. I had my baby boy in June and graduated in July. While sitting at my latest graduation day, I thought back to my high school graduation. Life had not gone as planned, but this life I had created was so much better. People said I was too old to go back to school. Then they said I should drop out after I got pregnant. The high school version of me was so sure of what life was going to be like. They were all wrong. So, if you find yourself sitting at graduation not knowing what you want to do in life, or maybe walking down different paths in life than you ever imagined, it's okay. Sometimes life doesn't go as planned. Sometimes you need time to figure out what you want in life. It doesn't matter if you're 18 or 72. It's never too late to chase your dreams.